Are you ready to reclaim joy in your life? Why joy? Why now? Welcome to Joy Rules with me, Lorelei, your joy guru. While the world looks like it's at a breaking point, burnout, stress, isolation, and overwhelm dominate the headlines. Within all this, there's a longing for something deeper, something that heals beyond the mind. Joy fuels health, sparks expansive thought, aligns us spiritually, and connects us to one another. Join me as I weave astrology, intuition, and modern psychology to ignite your soul's highest alignment. Each week, I sit down with luminous guests who embody joy as a spiritual path, a creative force, and a way of life. So take a deep breath, open your heart, and let's dive into the joy. Because when joy rules, transformation becomes inevitable. Boy, this journey to joy just gets better and better. So, welcome to Joy Rules. This is our first show of 2026, and I love when I can come up with a mantra or an affirmation for the year that rhymes. So, the one that I came up with for 26, and it's much deeper than you think it is when I say it. Joy is the fix in 2026, because if we can come back to that state of joy for no reason, just like in a moment with your pet or a conversation or just a state of being, that's all we need to do is to shine our light. So as always now, I'm going to start with about a 2-minute state of the universe or cosmic weather forecast or the weather astrologically. So right now, we're in a disseminating moon. There are 8 phases of a moon. All of you are born within one of those phases, and there's certain qualities and traits associated with each phase. When the moon is in her disseminating phase, which comes right after the full moon, that's the time where you feel you want to share with others. Like you've gotten a sense of what came up at the full moon and you feel compelled to share. I was just chatting and joking with Felèsha. I'm born during this phase. And I read years ago, and it made so much sense to me. It said, people born at the disseminating moon want to shout what they believe from the rooftops. And I went, oh my God, that's exactly how I feel. So we're in the disseminating moon until 10:58 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow when we go into the last quarter moon. So the energy's high at a disseminating moon, and in the last quarter moon, it's the plow under the crops. Let it all go. Often we're more tired during the last quarter moon because we've lived the last month, and now it's time to let go of what we no longer need, getting ready for the Capricorn new moon on the 17th of January. So just wanted to put that out there. So we've got 4 planets. Planets are needs, drives, and urges that we have. So the sun in the sky, which is the current consciousness of everyone, is in Capricorn. Mercury, the planet of communication, is in the initiating earth sign of Capricorn. Venus, the planet of what we love, what we value, what we appreciate, is in Capricorn. And Mars, the planet that drives us, that compels us to take action, is in the initiating earth sign of Capricorn. And as my good friend and client, Mary Kay, says, it's the get shit done sign. I had to ask Sierra if it was okay to say that, because you can feel really productive when the moon is when anything is in Capricorn, for sure. But I've heard from several folks, wow, I got all this stuff done. I did this and I did that. It's that sense of, on the mundane level, on the earth plane, that sense of achievement and accomplishment when we get something done that we've planned or organized. So I just want to suggest that if there's stuff that you need to get done, and that can be anything, that can be a little thing, that can be cleaning out a drawer, that could be having a conversation, that might be starting your business plan, it could be anything. It's not about what it is, it's using that energy, whether you're born with Capricorn energy or not. And then the last thing I want to say, and then I'm going to bring Felèsha on, is that, oh man, we're in a new year, but the year really, and it's a 1 year, which many of you know, that's the beginnings, right? Last year was a 9-year, but the year 1 doesn't really begin until the lunar phase, the next lunar phase. In other words, the new moon in Leo in February, the Lunar New Year. in other words. So just know we're all still in this vacuum, this container of letting go of these old versions of ourselves, old ways of being, old behaviors. You know, I was listening to something, and I don't ascribe to this, that said something like flu is up 33%. Well, you know what I believe that's about? That's about people needing downtime. And so the reason that's up is because most people or many people need the permission, the excuse of, I can't just take time for me. I can't just take a mental health day or whatever, or go to bed for 4 days because my body, mind, and spirit need it. So let's do flu. I'm just suggesting it's all a choice. And we have two planets moving into Aries on February. Every astrologer is talking about this. February 20th, moving out of Pisces, last sign of the zodiac, into Aries. We can all feel like we've been, in a good way, shot out of a cannon. Like, in other words, like, wow, all that old stuff that used to define me, I've left it behind me. And now I'm really being true to myself, et cetera, et cetera. So, Felèsha Love is someone I have known for years. We have had many conversations on many different levels, and I'm just getting such a kick out of being able to share her with you on Joy Rules. So welcome, my friend. You're muted.
Thank you. I muted because I've got a little background noise going on here.
Oh,
So I
okay.
didn't want to disturb your beautiful intro. Thank you for having me. It's always a joy to be with you. And that's not a pun on your title at all, but it certainly is befitting what you're doing right now.
Thank you so much. And it's great when you have friends that you've had for years, and one is witness to the transformation in each other and to holding that sacred safe space where we can unfold and be who we are. So I thought it was interesting that you were just muted for a minute, because I was thinking I wanted to start with that you as a young child knew that you were to talk for a living, to speak for a living. Remember when you shared that with me? To speak,
I
tell us.
I did. I remember it distinctly. I remember being in St. Louis on Evans, where my grandmother and my mom were my parents. My father was absent, and my baby sister wasn't born then. But I remember looking on this little black and white TV with the antennas and the aluminum foil on it. And I was watching some program, and just in my spirit, I heard, I'm supposed to talk for a living. Now, 8 years old, I don't know where to take that. I don't know what I'm going to talk about, what my life's going to look like. Who on earth would want to listen to me? But that's my path. I've been growing into that revelation that I got at 8 years old, just came out of the blue.
But I would say it didn't come out of the blue, because
Yeah,
when you said that to me, I thought, well, that makes sense, because and this is one of the things, this is for everybody, that delights me, is when I experience someone's expression of themselves, and then I have a way to share it with them astrologically. So while you're a Capricorn, and we've talked so much about this, and we are going to talk about the fact that you're a Capricorn, but you have all this Leo energy, which you and I've talked about for years, your Mercury and your rising sign, your window to the world, and Saturn are all in Aquarius. Well, Aquarius is the sign that comes after Capricorn, because Capricorn is, I need permission, I'm defined by society, blah, blah, blah. And all of that's been crumbling for the last few years for all of us. But you came in with the planet of communication in challenging the status quo. In other words, so that in and of itself was, I'm sure, an interesting journey, because you had stuff to say that people hadn't heard yet. Is that not true?
absolutely. And we're not ready to receive,
Yes.
is what I'm understanding, especially with the mind body spirit aspect of me, which is the root of who I am, not the radio personality and the founder of this and organizer of that. The core of who I am is the mind, the student of mind, body, spirit philosophy. And oh, your kitty cat. And I
That's
actually,
Moxie. She's Capricorn rising, so she often hangs out in my
oh,
office.
well, of course you'd come visit me.
Of course. Exactly.
But that's the core of who I am. But I tell you, it has been a push-pull um,
I bet.
way of life, trying to discover who I am going to be or who I am as an adult, and also knowing in my core what I'm supposed to be doing. But then what I'm supposed to be doing, I'm learning what that's going to be as well. And while trying to articulate that, people weren't really ready to hear about, and this meditation, mind, body, spirit connection, um, self love and what that means, speaking things into existence. It doesn't mean that there's some magical potion that you speak and all of a sudden it's there. I'd love to have a genie, but I don't know anything about having had that experience in my life. But it truly, what you need, what you want, what you desire, what you believe yourself to be comes from your core. And then what you do in the world is an expression of that. And the Capricorn in me was always the one that I needed permission. Boy, did I go through this whole power control dynamic with relationships, with jobs, with just waiting on permission. My mom was a great conduit of that as well. She helped program me with
As
that
they
waiting.
do.
Yes, waiting on permission and being of service and putting myself last. Yeah. So I came from that background. And then I had to learn through my life to undo that
Yeah.
so that I could express in the way that I'm blessed to be able to do now.
And we're all doing that. We're all undoing what's not us. We're all removing the blocks to the presence of the love that we are. And it always stuns me, sorry, Max, that there's a quote from Rumi, and it's a Course in Miracles quote too, which stuns me because Rumi's what, 13th century, or and Course in Miracles isn't
Right.
even 100 years old, but it's what we're talking about.
Yes.
Your task is not to seek for love or anything, but merely to seek and find within yourself everything you've built against it.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that
So
resonates.
with all the roles that you've played, because here you have your essence is Capricorn, which is I'm supposed to get to the top of the mountain, I'm supposed to get to, I'm supposed to achieve something, accomplish something, and you have. And I would wonder when did you always feel the joy of the things that you created? Because you have Mars in Leo, which is what drives you. You have the moon in Leo, which is your emotional makeup, and your North Node, where you're going this lifetime, is Leo. So did you always
Absolutely
like love
not.
it? No pun intended.
Absolutely not, Lorelei. Because the Capricorn part of me and society is programmed to believe that if you're not doing, you're lazy. If you're not achieving, something's wrong with you. And and if you're not working super super hard, then you're not wanting the goals that you say that you want. Then the Leo part of me is like, well, I don't want to do it unless it's fun.
Exactly.
If it's not fun, I'm not going to do it. Now I'll work, but I need to feel some, I need to tap into some aspect of joy in order
Yes.
to do that. And so, no, that was tough. Oh my gosh, that was tough. And then when
And
I finally found a way to play in that playground through radio,
yes.
to be able to go to work every day and listen to music and connect with community and just imaginary friends out there, because of course it's just you in one room with a microphone.
Right.
um, that brought me joy. That brought me joy. And then working hard kind of fell away because,
Yeah.
4 hours was a
It
stretch.
doesn't feel like work. And it's interesting how we're guided to share information or say things as we're in it. Or for years, I would say, I was saying it to myself, but I wasn't there yet. When you do what you love, work feels like play. But I wasn't feeling play. It was hard. I was in personnel. I was making play, blah, blah. But now it's a whole new ball game because the work, it's not work. And I really want everybody to hear this. When you're living from the joy of your soul, you'll be guided to what to do in the world that can compensate you. We're going to see jobs we've never seen before. A lot of stuff's going away, and people can get back to that essence where you knew at 8 you were supposed to talk for a living. Because
Mhm.
those things that come the easiest to us and the most natural are what we value the least and take for granted. So even at 8, you knew that. And most of us do know things at that age, but it's programmed out of us.
Right, exactly, exactly. And then once you get that revelation, then you have to figure out how to express within that, revelation, which
Yes.
is not necessarily easy because with me, I didn't always get the support to move myself forward because I was fighting with asking for permission, doing always doing the right, not always, I'm not an angel, but in my mind,
Obeying the
there's always
rules.
something, yeah, something on my shoulder that says, no, 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 you have to stay within the parameters.
Hmm.
But the fun was over there in that corner, So I had to figure out how to allow myself to be, talked about, to for people not to understand me. And the Leo part of me, my heart is big as I don't know what. So
Yes.
that really hurt that, not to be understood and not to be supported and
And not to be
appreciated
received.
and not to be received and part of the community, the scope of things. I always felt like the outsider, although I've talked to some people and they've said, no, you're not, but I've always kind of felt that way.
But that
um
would make sense, Felicia, with all your Aquarius energy,
mm.
because Aquarius is the rebel. Aquarius says, wait a minute, these structures don't work anymore. We got to do something different. We got to be ingenious. We got to be
Yeah,
inventive. We got to be innovative, authentic,
it
right?
would get me
So,
in
so
trouble. It
it
would
can
get
be
me in trouble
called,
every time.
yeah, it can be called black sheep and all of that other stuff. But no, it's like you were, yeah, you would feel like it could have felt like an outsider because you had ideas that they hadn't even heard yet because they were outside of those parameters that existed at the time.
Exactly, exactly. I mean, I've always been tapped to work with people to expand ideas and to come up with a 5-year plan and the logistics and all. And then once I do it, they always throw me out and I'm like, what the hell? Yeah, I did what you asked me to do. Now all of a sudden I'm the person that I'm the bad guy, but they always use my material, they
Yeah,
always use it, but i'm
yeah.
i'm always thrown out. It's
But it's
crazy.
like your soul was complete with it. You know
Yes,
what I mean? Like you did what you were there to
I did.
do,
Hmm.
and it was complete. So with all these roles that you've played in your life as a mother and now a grandmother, and you know what I found was so precious? When you and I did our connection call last Friday, um, your beautiful granddaughter was with you. And I mean, I got to watch her for the whole hour that we were talking. And I thought, now, how perfect is that in terms of the universal setup? The moon's in Cancer, which is about children and babies. And we're talking about love. And we're doing our connection call with as you're feeding your granddaughter and she's look, I mean, how do you say it? Kayomi? No.
You did it, Kayomi.
Kayomi,
Kayomi
yeah.
Amara.
She looked like a doll. She just looked like this beautiful doll. But so all these roles that you've played to know now that your umbrella, right, for all of these roles is to be, as you've told me, a conduit for God. So speak to that if you would.
Well, thanks to my the need to research to find out why am I this way? Why do things work this way? Led me to unity. And it led me to learning more about mind, body, spirit connection. When I was in radio, I was bulimic. I had anxiety attacks. I was a mess. And I had this difficulty trying to figure out the power dynamics. So in entertainment, you've got to be, this force. And I'm used to being the background because that's how I was kind of programmed. You are here of service, speak when you're spoken to, that kind of
Mhm,
thing.
mhm.
So I knew that if I didn't learn a healthy way to cope with all of the stress, that I wasn't going to make it in the industry. So I started exercising, and from exercising, I ran into Unity Church to expand my knowledge about religion. I grew up Pentecostal, so that's another
Mm.
way that you could see my programming, right? Very strict. Women did not have voices. They also, as grown as you can be, you speak when you're spoken to. Nothing that no ideas that you come up with are um, pushed forward because it came from a woman, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
So, and that's back in the day. I'm 60, I'll be 63 Sunday.
Hard to believe.
So that came, from decades ago. But um, my core was truly learning about spirituality and not just religion. That is what helped me to propel myself forward. And to survive all of the heartbreaks and disappointments and everything that I've encountered in order to get to this space that I stand in now. And
Hmm.
that's giving myself permission to play and not have to answer to anyone as to why I feel so much joy when I do things.
Yes.
Now it's the flip side. Like, why are you so happy about that? You know,
Yeah.
Alicia, what are you doing?
And we talked about the joy in small moments. Like for me, I was getting ready for the show. Every guest, whatever their sun sign is, whatever element, you have a green folder. And somebody who's a fire sign has a red folder. And I do, and I have green sheets. That
Yes.
brings me joy.
Oh,
It's
that's it.
like in
Yeah.
that moment, I'm just in bliss. I'm going, oh, I'm just affirming, Anyway, so I'm
Yeah.
just saying that in terms of the little things. And I decided to change the background
I
before
love that.
there, because there's the mountain goat, which is very much who you are. And when you said to me, I've given myself permission, which is what you just said, permission to play, what a beautiful marriage of your Capricorn and Leo. And it's moon's in Libra now. So it's about making the marriage. It's about, that's why I had the scales there before, because it's about sharing, it's about balance and harmony. And that's what we're all seeking, right? The balance between us and us. So when you said spirituality and a conduit for God, you come by that so honestly astrologically. Your Venus, what you love, is in Sagittarius, which is one of the two most spiritual signs in the zodiac, and your Jupiter. Everybody, you all have Jupiter in your chart. Jupiter is the planet of wisdom, growth, optimism, expansion, the meaning and purpose of life, and the contract with God and the universe. Your Jupiter's in Pisces. Again, the dreamer, the idealist, the intuitive, So it really is the marriage of all of that, right?
Yeah.
Like bringing your ability to achieve and accomplish anything that brings you joy and is connected to your being a conduit for God.
Absolutely. And like you said, giving yourself permission
Yeah.
to do that because nobody is going to give you that permission. And even if they did, would you believe it? So it still has to come from your core.
Yeah, and it's interesting because since the moon is in Libra, I do want to say again for everyone that every relationship we have has an astrological signature. Like you have a chart, I have a chart, and then the computer meshes comes up with the midpoint. Well, I'd never run ours before, but I wanted to do it before the show. So
Yeah.
our sun sign together, like you're a Capricorn, I'm a Libra, our sun sign is Sagittarius, which is optimism, which is, the world is a friendly place. I mean, all those Sag things. And our moon is Cancer. So that would be feeling comfortable together, feeling at home, your granddaughter being on the connection call. I thought that was so cool. And we both have Mars in Leo. So the planet that drives this relationship between Felèsha and Lorelei is Leo. So we've always had that joy. I just didn't know it at the time. I mean, I didn't, because I didn't know joy was my purpose then. I thought it was about being an astrologer and being an interviewer and being a minister and being a counselor. But now I know it's about joy, and I'm bringing all of those abilities and talents to that,
Which makes
as
it
you
so
are with.
much, it's so much more rich when you can bring all of those aspects into, it's not just a job. The job
Right.
has these linear things that you're supposed to do, but you're bringing a whole mix of rich knowledge and skills, so that makes it even better.
So, as we're wrapping up, what message would you want to give your beautiful granddaughter? If you could just leave her with one message when you're not in the body anymore and she's growing up to be even more beautiful than she is.
Wow. It would be, I believe, to have a connection with God, with a higher power, and get to learn how to express yourself through that so that you don't fear the world so much. You don't feel fear relationships and what's going on in the world, that you have this connection that makes you feel safe no matter what's going on in the world,
Yeah.
makes you feel loved no matter what's going on.
It's
It's
that trust, isn't it? It real, I mean, if I, yeah, because nobody has a clue now, really, about what's happening. So the best we can do is trust that the divine's got us. God's got us, and the universe has our back, right?
if we don't, there'll be so many lost people. And that's why I'm doing what I do with,
Yes.
the mind, body, spirit aspect, is to help people understand that it comes from inside. It's nobody's going to save us.
Yeah.
We have to make that
Yeah,
connection.
and that's become abundantly clear with everything that's going on the planet. So I just love you so much. I love that we've had the opportunity to be in this context together and all the and I just see all the beautiful things that you're doing and your beautiful, beautiful spirit. And I just am so grateful that you joined me today.
I am
Thank you,
grateful for
sweetie.
you always. Thank you for being a lifelong friend. I adore you, and keep doing what you're doing on Facebook with your singing and everything. It
Oh,
just
thank
brings
you
me
for
so
sharing
much
that with me.
joy. It does. It brings me so much joy. I love it every time. I sing
Oh,
along with you sometimes. You can't hear me, but
oh, thank you, sweetie. And wishing all of you a blessed weekend. Moon will go into Scorpio on Sunday, folks. So if you want to dive deep into some relationship that you're in and say what you need to say, Sunday will give you the opportunity to do that. So until we connect, I wish you blue skies, green lights, and lucky, lucky stars. Thank you for listening to Joy Rules with me, Lorelei Robbins, your joy guru. If this episode sparked something in you, don't keep joy to yourself. Share and spread the light. Tune in the second and fourth Friday of the month at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, right here on Transformation Talk, where together we reclaim joy as the foundation for transformation. To dive deeper, visit me at joyrules.com. And remember, joy isn't optional, it's essential. And visit joyrules.com for lots more joy. Until next time, keep choosing joy and join the joy revolution. And until we connect, I wish you blue skies, green lights, and lucky stars.